at the Harbe Studio in the capital city. That's Madison. We are the Talking Cheeseheads. Ben and Reed, cheeseheadtalk.com. And I saw an article in one of our favorite state papers, the Green Bay Press Gazette.
Yeah.
What constitutes one of our favorite state papers? Actual flesh and blood people writing for the paper locally most every day.
Ooh.
You don't have it, La Crosse. You don't got it, Eau Claire. No, Wausau.
You barely have it in Madison.
You barely have it, but you do have it. And you have it in Green Bay, kind of. And you have it a lot in Milwaukee. It's just a little paper rundown.
Yeah.
Sorry, small town papers.
Yeah.
Chronotype in Rice Lake, you're once a week. The point is, Mike Vandermouse writes for the Green Bay Press Gazette.
Right.
And he'll write columns on the Packers because really in Green Bay you have to do something on the Packers at least once a week in the off season.
Once a week.
Every day.
Okay.
And he wrote about Ted Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
You know our favorite GM, Ted Thompson.
Oh, thanks, Mike, for writing an article about me. It's nice to see my name once in a while in the paper.
And
I know I don't come across as a real egomaniac, but I do enjoy some of the publicity I get.
And the subject heading of the article was, are the Packers better off now than they were 5 years ago when Thompson came in?
Well,
and my
it's
initial
hard
response,
for me to say because I've been the architect, but I'd be interested to know what Mike Vandermouse said.
My initial response to it was, duh, of course they are.
Right.
And after reading the article, the result is, duh, of course they are.
Well, that's good.
Do you want me to get out of my
Yes, actual, please, for the love of God.
All right.
You always overdo it, but that's beside the point. Because here's my impression of the pack. It's beyond just.
Here's my impression of Ted Thompson.
Yeah, it's beyond just the nuts and bolts of the team's records.
Yeah.
When Ted Thompson took over, the Packers are coming off a 10-6 season.
Yeah.
A
terrible 10-6 season.
I know. Here in 2010, they're coming off a 11-5 season, so one game.
Yeah.
Okay, I get, whatever. But the situation was different. Mike Sherman as GM, which means general malfeasance.
Ooh.
I don't know. He basically took apart the guts of the team to try and keep his coaching job.
He did.
He signed guys like Cletius Huntley, drafted guys like Ahmad Carroll, and played them.
And Denell Washington.
And Hannibal Navies.
Right. And Arkell Trueluck.
Yeah.
Some of those names that were coming back.
These guys were on the team.
His name was R-Cal. That was his first name.
Yeah.
Doesn't that raise a red flag?
I sure as heck hope so.
All right.
He paid Cletius Hunt the kind of money.
He did.
Remember Cletius Hunt?
Do
you remember Cletius Hunt?
I do. You know what we called Cletius Hunt?
Yes, don't.
Oh, okay.
But the point is that they were not a 10-6 team. There was some miracle that they got to 10-6. I'm not even sure how. They had a terrible start to the season. They recovered to get to 10-6.
And then the Eagles blew them out along the way. Remember that game?
Yeah.
The zone defense debacle game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of crap from that season.
Yeah.
So Sherman's fired. Thompson comes in and does what any decent GM would do, and that's gut the team.
Cleans house.
And of course everybody hates him for that.
It's a change agent.
Yeah. And now he's rebuilt and stockpiled good talent. Are there difference makers? Are there superstars? Yeah, at a couple positions. Mm-hmm. You need a couple more in order to really be a team that can be a Super Bowl champion. I get that. But they're pretty solid at most positions, almost every position on the team.
Right.
So I think it's clear they're better. This article in the Press Gazette by Mike Vandermouse runs it down.
Every position.
Every position. Basically says, yes, they're better at pretty much every position.
Yeah.
Is
it necessary?
I mean, yeah. I guess I kind of thought, well, this is kind of like writing an obvious thing I can't think of right now, but it's sort of like.
Well, I guess what it does address are the people who still don't like Ted Thompson and think he's done a terrible job with the franchise. When you actually look at the personnel and you look at the depth, to me that was the most shocking part of the article was when you looked at bench depth on the offense and defense. Just the names are so much better now, and I don't mean just like the actual names of people, but the actual players are so much better. He makes a point about how you have Brandon Schiller and Nick and Desmond Bishop who struggle to find regular playing time with the Packers, and they're both good players versus some of the guys like Steve Joshu that were bouncing around on that 2014, and really where he has the Packers as worse now than back then. They're still the same guys a lot of times.
Yeah,
like Donald Driver and Chad Clifton and Mark Tauger. They've just gotten older.
Yeah.
But they're still good. They're still serviceable players, obviously. I mean, who's going to kick Donald Driver off their team?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not. Are you, Ben?
Wish he hadn't fumbled second series of the Arizona game, but hey, he's still been really good.
He has Amon Green is better than Ryan Grant, which I thought Ryan Grant in 2003, of course.
Yeah.
He was or Amon Green in 2003. Monster. Great. But, sure he might catch more passes than Ryan Grant does now, but he also fumbled a lot more too. So I think they're almost a push.
Yeah.
Really.
And you got to respect the find of Ryan Grant and the job he's done, sort of unheralded as a running back, just solid.
Yeah.
The depth is there. I mean, you think about some of those names, like I mentioned, Hannibal Navies, Nile Diggs, and even their first-round picks, their first-round bombs.
Yeah.
Okay, you talk about Sherman and Ahmad Carroll. Total joke of a pick. Thompson and Justin Harrell.
Right.
Awful.
Yes.
But Ahmad Carroll actually hurt the Packers more by playing.
Yeah, that's true.
At least Justin Harrell hasn't been able to get on the field.
Yep.
Which is, it's hurt them because they wasted a first-round pick. But Ahmad Carroll was just god-awful.
He was bad.
Oh.
He couldn't get through a game without at least 3 holding penalties.
Dragging a guy
People
down.
remember this. We don't have to talk about it. Ben.
But I mean, you bring up some of these names because you refresh the memory.
Yeah.
And, how could it not be clear? And I don't think there's a lot of arguing there. I think the Thompson haters would argue that he could do more or that he could have handled the Favre thing better.
Right. Or he could have had Randy Moss.
Or he could have had Randy Moss. That's like the bullet point, is it not? Like the bullet talking points for Thompson haters.
Yep.
Randy Moss, Justin Harrell, Brett Favre situation.
Yep. But how many Super Bowls has Randy Moss won in New England?
Huh.
Yeah.
None.
Exactly.
Oh, 0. How many Super Bowls has he ever won? None. I'm sorry. I'm reverting to my Randy Moss Vikings argument.
Yeah. That was good.
Thank you.
So, anyway, no, Ted Thompson's great. May I?
May I? Yeah, like I could stop you.
I mean, just even I was surprised after reading this article how great of a job I've done, and I was honored that Mike and Chad and everyone else, Chris and all the other guys down at the Green Bay Press Gazette really acknowledged that. We're going to really try to put the best team on the field again this year. Youngest team, but the best team I possibly can. I'm looking at a few freshmen in high school who have exhausted their college eligibility. They could get my numbers down a little.
He's not going to stop.
Just looking for a kicker.
We're the talking cheeseheads.
Maybe a punter.
Cheeseheadtalk.com.
Kick return.